So after you stopped playing sports, um, first talk a little bit about what you did first, and then when was your transition into becoming a sports trainer and why?
I never stopped playing. I always played. I played in the parks. I went to other parks and played. I went to other states and played because I just loved the game. I loved the game of basketball. I was good in football, probably better in football, could have probably made it through football, just didn't have the outlets that I needed as far as exposure. Probably could have made it in basketball. I didn't have the outlets, but I never stopped playing. And I would come out with my son and my daughter, and I would play with them. And I lived in Perth Amboy, and I always wanted to give back to the community. So I started working out of Delaney Homes. I used to go in Delaney Homes, and that's when some of the young men in first level of Kids Plus existed. I started training a lot of those kids, get programs together for those kids playing in Delaney Homes, taking them out of Delaney Homes and taking them in other places to play, and letting those project kids, 'cause they from the project. So I went back to the mud where I'm from. I'm like, I know what they're looking. I know how they're feeling. I know what they're thinking. I know that their vision is not there. So I got to give them a greater vision of who they are. I become a purpose for their existence. So I became that purpose. And I thought it was me at the time, me doing it. And I believed that wholeheartedly was me doing it. Um, and then I moved out of Perth Amboy. And when I moved into Cliffwood, Kids Plus was formed, and that was a second tier of Kids Plus. But I incorporated a lot of the Amboy kids that I knew and have worked with as young kids, because I started with them at 6 years, sixth grade, seventh grade, and some of them I started at 6 years old. And I incorporated those kids down here with the Mattawan kids, and we formed a powerhouse. Met an old man, he's passed away now, named John Fredericks. And John Fredericks, we started the Mid-Monmouth program, and we called it Kids Plus. And we won the Mid-Monmouth level, of which were 13, 14-year-old kids. We won that 3 years in a row. And then we talked a little bit about AAU. He informed me about AAU and showed me the structure of AAU, and I got involved in AAU, and Kids Plus became an AAU powerhouse. And then, my whole focus was teaching kids how to become academically inclined and athletically inclined. And I found that a lot of the public institutions that these kids were going to were not servicing them properly and preparing them to go to college. They were not passing the SAT test, the ACT test, and I'm like, what's going on here? So I realized that I had to instill some educational opportunities in them, and by doing so, I had to take some of the elite kids out of public school and put them into a private school where they could become more focused academically as well as athletically. So I met Bob Green, who was at St. Peter's. He was the St. Peter's coach at the time. Talked to a few other, Kevin Boyle and some of the other guys, and I just didn't connect with them because their purpose wasn't the same as mine. Bob's was. Bob's like, I want to give these kids an opportunity, Larry, to become successful beyond basketball. And I said, perfect, that's what I want too. And so by doing so, we helped some kids academically and athletically. A lot of kids became successful going to college, and became successful on the court. So that's how that began. And then we continued that.